What's going on, Dub Nation? Welcome into Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Allie Barefoot, and we're going to talk about what it would look like for Dorian Finney-Smith and maybe a few other Brooklyn Nets to make their way to the Bay Area, because the new report shows the Brooklyn Nets asking price is pretty high, asking for 2 first-round picks for the 30-year-old 3-and-D type of player. Well, let's go ahead and break down that report here. It was first reported by Nets Daily, then NBA Central did what they do. The Nets' asking price for Dorian Finney-Smith is 2 first-round picks. Thankfully, the Golden State Warriors do have first-round picks through 2029, so if they did want to bring another wing into this mix, well, Finney-Smith could be a pretty acceptable trade target. But if anything happens for the Golden State Warriors, whether it's breaking news, whether it's trade rumors, or if trade does actually happen, which I do have a pretty big hunch that something will go down before the February 8th trade deadline, we're going to talk about it right here on Warriors Today by Chat Sports as fast as you can imagine. So you guys are going to want to be in the know and hit that sub button for me. Let's take a look at what Dorian Finney-Smith has done over the past 4 seasons. If you guys are looking at this year, 2023, he is playing some of his best ball that he has in a couple of years. Look at his three-point percentage. It has excelled tremendously since last season. And while the Warriors aren't necessarily looking to get another splash brother, a secondary scorer wouldn't be that bad. However, he's only about 10 points per game, which isn't really enough to kind of complement Steph Curry. However, I'm looking more at his defensive stats. On that side of the ball, what the Warriors would be getting if they did decide to trade for somebody like Dorian Finney-Smith is you're going to be getting a skilled 3-and-D player. You guys are going to be able to utilize him on the defense as much as you possibly can, and that's what the Warriors really need right now. They really need some help on the defense, especially since Draymond Green has come back, but Chris Paul and Gary Payton II are still out. So, like I said, why do the Dubs need him? Well, a skilled 3-and-D player will be huge. Why? Because he goes up against one of the best opponents' wings every single matchup and locks them down. He also will elevate the Dubs' defense as a whole, and he can play both sides of the ball. While his shooting percentage wasn't off the charts, I should say, he can still provide that type of spreading offense skill so that when Steph Curry and Klay Thompson do want to get a hold of the ball, there's not looking at somebody like Dorian Finney-Smith lurking in the corner for a nice putback 3. So I think Dorian Finney-Smith checks off a lot of boxes here. But your opinion matters most to me. Should the Warriors pursue Dorian Finney-Smith? Well, comment why or why not. There are definitely a lot of pros, which we're going to talk about later in the show, but there are a few cons as to more boxes the Warriors need to check, which we will also talk about a little bit later. Comment that below because, look, unfortunately, I don't think this trade is going to probably push the needle for the Golden State Warriors. Does Dorian Finney-Smith make the Warriors a championship contending team? Probably not. However, he could be a good space to start building off of something. He can help right now on offense and on defense, but if you're looking to really stick with these young guys, Dorian Finney-Smith could be a veteran that the Warriors could also need. So he did say on his trade rumors, he said, look, it always gets weird around this time in the NBA. I just can't focus on the outside noise. That's kind of part of it. There's nothing you can do about it. We've all got social media, so you're going to hear it. So look, they're not stupid. They realize that Dorian Finney-Smith has been on the trade talks for a while. But the cool thing is, he's only been traded twice in his 8-year career. He played with the Dallas Mavericks for a really long time. But of course, they did send him to the Brooklyn Nets in order to get Kyrie Irving. So I do think that he's looking for a new space right now, and the Warriors are also looking for some fresh faces, so it could be a match made in heaven. Plus, I do think that JK in Dorian Finney-Smith could work better as 2 power forwards than we have seen Wiggins and JK play right now. The stats are horrendous when Wiggins and JK are on the floor together, which basically means you have to get rid of one of them. The Warriors have outspoken and said, we're open to talking about trading Wiggins. We don't want to get rid of JK. So what do you do if you get rid of Wiggins? Why not bring in another power forward that's actually going to help the Warriors, which I do think Dorian Finney-Smith could. But like I said, I'm going to talk to you guys about the pros and cons about Finney-Smith coming to the Bay Area, and I'm also going to talk about what a huge trade could look like for both organizations. Before I do that, let's go ahead and talk to you guys about Prize Picks, one of our sponsors here on Warriors Today. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy sports app that I play constantly because it just adds that much more excitement to my day. All you guys have to do is pick between 2 to 6 players and pick more or less on their projected stats, and you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. And while there is a lot of games going on this weekend between NBA and NFL, I'm kind of hooked in on NFL playoffs right now. So I do have the sun god, Amon-Ra St. Brown, having more than half a receiving and rushing touchdown, and Chris Godwin to do the same. And if you're wondering what those little red guys are, well, those are actually demons. If you see the green version of it, those will be goblins. The demons are harder picks, but the payout is a lot more. And the green guys are easier picks, but doesn't pay that much. So I said, you know what? It's the NFL playoffs. Go big or go home. These are my picks, but I want to see yours. All you guys have to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use promo code CLNS for first time deposit match up to $100 and watch yourself win some real money in real time. There's always going to be a pros and cons list in my house. So when I look at Dorian Finney-Smith, he does answer a lot of Warriors questions, but not all of them, considering he'll help on both sides of the ball, which the Warriors are desperate for some defensive help, but they also need a secondary score. Is 10 points per game enough? Not really, but which one would you rather have? The con is that he doesn't solve the big problem, which means he's not a true big. Yes, he's got a lot of size, but you guys are looking for someone like a 7'3" Kristaps Porzingis. You're looking for that guy that can come in and immediately stand his ground in the paint. And a pro, he does improve the defense overall. Like I said, he is one of the best 3-and-D players right now in the NBA at 30 years old. But the con is that you still need that secondary shooter. I do think you still have to go get a shooting guard out there or perhaps look into something like DeJounte Murray. But I do have a trade later on this video that could solve that secondary shooting problem. But overall, the Warriors need help in a lot of areas. This is not breaking news. So if the Warriors do want to trade for Dorian Finney-Smith, give up 2 picks, I think you have to pick the Nets organization just a little bit more and get some offensive weapons along with Dorian Finney-Smith to make this trade even worthwhile. And there's one name that comes to mind because they've already said they're not going to trade Bridges. They don't want to. They want to build around Bridges. So what about Cam Thomas? Cam Thomas has been amazing this season. He's had some lulls, but hey, so have some of the Warriors. So I think Cam Thomas could solve a lot of issues. What's even better is that he's young. He's 24. He's 25. You can build with Cam Thomas, not just get a guy like Chris Paul, who's 38 years old, and put him on an expiring contract. What's really cool about this quote from Cam Thomas is that he has a chip on his shoulder. And what better way to get rid of that chip than coming to the Bay Area and winning another chip? Well, Eric Slater did say that Cam Thomas, on falling to 27th in the 2021 draft, every team that picked ahead of Brooklyn, I just try to go out there and try to kill them every time. Just try to show everybody they made a mistake. This kid is different. He's built different. He's giving me a Ja Morant level of confidence right now, and I think that he's only going to get better. You pair him with somebody like Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, you've got the brand new Warriors. So if the Warriors are going to go young, which I have a video a couple days ago that I put out about whether or not Dunleavy and Steve Kerr want to go with the older core or if they want to go with the younger guys, a lot of you guys said go with the younger guys. That does include JK and Moody and so on. Well, Cam Thomas is one of those younger guys. So if you're going to stay young, then go on ahead and trade for young guys. It makes no sense to get anybody over 31 years old if you want to remain with Jonathan Kuminga. So, do you guys think Cam Thomas could be a good addition to the Golden State Warriors this season? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I personally think he would, but I have a trade package coming up that I do think is going to just kind of pull this all together. So while you guys are commenting Y for yes, N for no, let me go on ahead and show you guys what that trade would look like. The Warriors would receive Dorian Finney-Smith, Nick Claxton, who is a very underrated center in the NBA, as well as Cam Thomas. And then you have the Nets receiving Andrew Wiggins, who the Warriors want to get rid of. You got to give them Brandin Podziemski just because they want to help build around Bridges, and I do think McCall Bridges and Brandin Podziemski could be pretty elite. And then, of course, those 2 first-round picks. Cam Thomas solves your double-digit scoring problem. Nick Claxton averages about 12 points per game, which is about what Jonathan Kuminga is doing right now, but he's a true big. These 3 guys, you get rid of your Wiggins problem, you solve your big issue, and you find your secondary score. You solved a ton of Warriors issues immediately with one trade with one team. How do you guys like this? Go on ahead and type A for accept, type D for decline if you guys do like this trade between the Golden State Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets. Overall, I don't know if this trade is going to solve the Dubs' issues this season. However, I do think that if you focus on making the team younger and building around Steph Curry in his final few years, I would go younger, more agile, more athletic, and I would just squash all the issues right now in the middle of this season in hopes to have a better next season. But if you do make a trade with the Nets, who knows what can happen. Well, if anything does happen, you guys know we're going to talk about it right here on Warriors Today by Chat Sports. So if you haven't already, I need you to do one thing for me and hit that sub button for me.